Hi, I'm Blessed Nation. This is Souq exclusive. You know, when it's time for exclusive, we've got a big fish in the pool. All right, this time around is JJ Ekwega, the name that comes to mind when you're talking about talent relations globally, you're talking about media consultancy, as she has been publicist to renowned artists such as the late Michael, Judge Michael. All right, I hate to say late, but because his music feels so much alive whenever you listen to it because they're classics. When you talk about Judge Michael, those songs is done, never fade. But let's meet JJ Kwega. Good morning, welcome to the
Good
show.
morning, nice to see you today.
Yeah, I like to wake up to someone great, and this is it. Waking up to sit close to you and talk to you.
Oh, thank you, appreciate that, thank you.
All right. Now, for someone like you who's been around the high and mighty when it comes to the entertainment industry all along, it must have been a journey and it must have been very interesting. Also, good to know that your grand uncle, Orlando Martins, was the first African to go to Hollywood.
Yes.
So, talk to us. How has it been for you growing up amidst celebrities and even working with them?
Well, I have to say the inspiration started with great uncle Orlando, really, in the sense that when we were teenagers, we didn't know in the 80s, just before he passed away, we used to visit him just in Lagos here near the Marina area. And I think there's a street named after him.
This is the Marina area.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, so this is like somewhere from my childhood. I actually left Nigeria when I was 8 to go to boarding school in the UK. And the journey, I want to say, was almost accidental because I went to university in California, University of Southern California in Los Angeles. And I did want to study international relations, diplomacy, because I studied French, Spanish, and I have colloquial Arabic as well. So you'd have thought I would go into something where I would use my languages more. But I ended up at university in Los Angeles. And where is that the capital of? Entertainment. So I fell into entertainment. There was no other route to take. And ended up working in media relations. My first job as an intern. I was thrown into this agency and they said, oh, you're going to work for this gentleman called Michael Levine. And he's one of the top PRs in Los Angeles. And I was assistant to his assistant. And who was he looking after in those days? We're talking about the mid-90s. He was looking after David Bowie. So I ended up working in my first job as an intern. I was unpaid, so it was like a student job, working for the PR for David Bowie. So that's where my journey started. So it was almost accidental because I didn't actually choose it. It kind of chose me.
All right. Even though it was accidental, you wanted to become a diplomat.
Yes.
But you stumbled into entertainment.
Yes, I
working
did.
as a publicist.
Yes.
What was it that kept you and you decided to make it your thing?
I realized that it was a vocation, that's something that came from the family. Going back to great uncle Orlando Martins, I came to appreciate in time when I told people that as a child, he would show us pictures of him with Ronald Reagan or the great Audrey Hepburn, the actress from Hollywood, and other people. And we didn't appreciate it at the time. And when I told the story, when I went back to Los Angeles, people would be like, but we know your great uncle's films. We've seen him in Hasty Heart. We've seen him in The Nun story with Audrey Hepburn. That was your great uncle? He was so eloquent. Because what was so good about great uncle was that he spoke Yoruba in his roles. He would never just make up gibberish. He'd say, no, I have a language, I'm Nigerian. And that pride, I think it came down to us. And my brother Babatunde and my sister Yewande were so lucky that we were around him as children because he instilled that thing in us. So when I fell into entertainment when I was in LA, it was a natural progression. And I just thought, no, I should do this. He was an inspiration to me. So I think that's what kept me going on.
Did you ever find yourself in a conflict from being the publicist, the one who's behind the scene, working it out for the artist,
Yes.
and wanting to be in the stage, like being in front of the camera, being the artist yourself?
Do you know how I got around that? Our late mom, Ibiene Adokia Pega, she was a journalist in the UK in the late 80s and just before she passed away, unfortunately, in 1992. And growing up with her, She worked for the Daily Mail in the UK and as a freelance for papers in Nigeria, although she was based in London. And one way of me conquering that was also doing my journalism side of things, because my degree was in communications and journalism. So I went into journalism in the sense that I worked for a number of sites like HuffPost. I worked for something called the Luxury Channel, and I was a contributor for news websites. I also did CNN Showbiz because I had a little spurt at CNN, which I loved. And that was a way of connecting with the entertainment side of things, interviewing people, going to events, writing up stories about movies, about special events, covering the Oscars, the BAFTAs in London. So that was a way for me to go around it, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And I see that you've got the experience all round from media to entertainment.
Yes.
Now, when you first met the big artists, in fact, when you were asked to relate with someone like David Bowie, how did it feel for you for the first time?
I'll tell you a quick story. When I started the job working for the publicist that looks after David Bowie, on the second day I was told, you need to call David's office and you've not got to speak to him and prepare him and his wife Iman. They're coming to London. You've got to give them the itinerary. I was like, I have to call David Bowie?
I can imagine that.
I was trembling, but I just had to hold everything in and say, okay, he's a human being. Okay, let me just get on with it. And that kind of helped in the sense that they trusted me to do it. But then I had to hold myself together, and sometimes you just go with it. You just go with it.
So share with me your experience working with George Michael. I'm eager to know how it must have been working with him, watching him, on TV. I find him fascinating, unpredictable. But working with a man like that, how was it?
Oh, it was amazing. I'll tell you, I first met him when in 1990. Well, I say first met him, worked for him. I spent a day with him when I worked at MTV Europe in the mid-90s. He was doing, this was 1996, he was doing the MTV Awards in London. And during the MTV Awards, everyone's assigned to a different artist. So back in those days, it would have been people like Robbie Williams, I'm a UK artist. George Michael was there. You had the Foo Fighters. You had Janet Jackson. You had different artists. But that day, I was assigned to George Michael, and they said from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, you've got to be with him, you've got to get him food, look after him. So you have to imagine that I had to go and meet his car at the stadium when he arrived. It was at the Alexander Palace, actually. I had to meet his car, introduce myself, say, I'm going to be looking after you today. And they call it a talent escort. Okay. I'm going to be your talent escort. And it was just him that came alone. So can you imagine with my idol who I'd loved as a teenager, meeting at the car and having to just be with him all day. I met his parents, which was an honor because his mother passed away the year after. And he was just such a personable person. At that stage, I wasn't working for him. At that stage, I was just starting out in my career in 96. Starting out in my career, one of my second jobs actually at MTV Europe in London and looking after George Michael. And it was because of looking after him that day, and I kept in touch with his management team, that literally, I want to say 12 years later, I worked for him.
Okay.
In 2008. So for me, it was like a journey, and it shows you what a kind person he was, because he remembered. He said, oh, you were that young girl who was all nervous, and you looked after him, and I just loved your company. Come and work in my office. It's because of him I can say a lot that I'm here today, because he gave me so many opportunities. I met so many people with him. One of the people that was looked after in his office was Donatella Versace. So I did a lot of PR for Versace, dressing all these talents for the Oscars, for the Met Ball, for the BAFTAs, for all the concerts, things like that. So through him, a lot was achieved in my career.
Wow, good to know. Now, before we talk about you working with the Academy Awards and what it was like in that aspect of your career, when George Michael passed, how was it? How did you take the news?
On that night, it's odd because I was actually just reading a book or something, and my daughter turned to me and said, I was reading something and said, oh, look on the iPad, it just flashed up, George Michael has passed. It was the worst. I still remember it very clearly, 2016. It was the worst night, I must say. And my phone started buzzing, and I got a call, and I wasn't working because I'm currently working with the BBC now, but I wasn't at the BBC at the time. But my best friend was working at the BBC News, and he said, "Jay, you've got to come on. You know, we've spoken to the management and one of the other PRs, but I know you. I want you to come and say something." And it was the hardest. I spent 10 minutes on BBC News, Global News, talking about George, what a wonderful person he was, personable, kind. You know, when we worked for him, we would get bonuses so we could go on holidays. He was just the kindest, most humble man. He wasn't fond of doing PR, oddly enough. He was quite shy, very shy.
Strange.
Yes, and he'd say, "Oh, we have to do it," and he'd roll his eyes. "Oh, do we have to?" Like, yeah, oh, you know. But he was such a kind, personable, fun person. One of the greatest bosses I've ever had, and unforgettable. And I think his music, as you mentioned, you talked about listening to him in the office, is beyond time.
Indeed, it is beyond time. And when you listen to songs done by George Michael, you don't feel like he's gone.
Yes, you feel he's alive
still
again.
alive
Yes.
and with us.
Yes.
Well, while you were talking about him, you mentioned that he was a shy person.
Yes.
That brings us to talking about shy people in the media industry.
Yeah.
You also reckoned with that in an
Yes.
interview that you granted.
Yes.
Talked about being shy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to believe that you can be around so much buzz. You could be even the person of focus,
Yes.
but yet you're shy.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
I think sometimes it's just taking a step back and sort of saying, okay, this is a little beyond me. I mentioned went to some Oscar parties just a month ago. We were in Los Angeles, and we went to this charity event, which we thought would be a friend of mine invited me and said, "Oh, come to this. It's called the Green Charity." I thought, oh, sounds simple enough, but it was at a very nice hotel. And who should walk in? Zendaya. And she's like the biggest star in the world at the moment. And she said, "Oh, hello, what are you here for?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just visiting from London." And talking to people like that, you kind of realize that we're all human at the end of the day, but we're all giving our gifts in different ways. Like, you're here today, you're a wonderful interviewer.
Thank you very much.
You know, lovely surroundings and everything. So I think everyone has something to give, no matter how high, no matter how the journey is going. I think we're all humans. And the way she, took the time to say, "Oh, hello," and "Oh, what are you doing here? Where are you from?" And I thought that was really nice. And we just connected as human beings. So little things like that help, that you overcome whatever the personality is.
Let's get to the Academy Awards now.
Yeah.
I'm eager to know. Now, being in that space, it's a very influential space.
It is.
It gives you so much power to do a lot.
Yeah.
I guess that there are not many Black persons in that space. So working in that space and doing your bit, how has it helped you? And how do you think it has also helped other artists of African descent in the entertainment industry? What have you learned that they should learn?
I think we've come a long way. It's getting better. We're not there yet, but it's improving in the sense that there are people now able to make films. Just recently, actually, just this time, a cousin of ours through our mother's related to his father, Miss San Harriman. His father was the late Hope Harriman, who's well known in Nigeria. And he was a business partner of my father's, Ben Ipega, Harriman, Ipega and Co. They were land property developers, well known in Lagos. Miss San had a film at the Oscars, a short film that was nominated with the actor David Oyelowo in the lead. And when you have our work being honored like that, he was a nominee. He didn't win this time, but the fact that he was at the Oscars shows you that we're being recognized, not only as working behind the scenes like myself as a publicist. No, there are not many of me, because I'll tell you a very quick thing. I've been at events in the past with George Michael and his entourage, and I was the publicist there, and somebody came to me and said, "Could you go and find the publicist?" And I had to say, "I am the publicist." and they had to apologize.
Why was it hard for them to detect who the publicist was? Is it that you're this person who likes to be in your space? Is that you're called out?
At that time, I was there doing my work and being respectful, but I was the only person that looked like me.
Oh, are you talking about color now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because especially even now in the sphere of publicists, I would say 3% of us are of ethnic minority in the UK, on par, on that level where we've grown, and the level working with very A-list talent and things like that. There are not so many of us. It's getting better, but we still have a struggle. I've still had issues lately in my life, in this role that I've been in, but I refuse to step back when I've started a journey moving forward.
You seem to be very comfortable in the UK or working in the UK.
Yes.
Most part of your career has been in the UK.
Yes, most of it.
What is it about the UK that makes you comfortable? If you were in America, would it be any different?
I have worked briefly in the US and lived there as a student as well. And basically, and my ex-partner is from the US, Los Angeles. But essentially, the UK, because I went at 8, because I think I went as a young child, I went to boarding school there, so I really cultivated the culture there. And when you grow up somewhere, it becomes more familiar, if that makes sense.
More like home.
Like home. But again, it's a similarity with Nigeria. We all speak English, and this was a colony in its time. But there's that similarity with Nigeria and England in the sense that we're not far. Like, look at the time now. We're both on the same time zones at the moment. There's just that closeness to home. And I think that's why I became more settled there and became like a second home to me.
All right, let's talk about your first home, Nigeria.
Yes.
So you're in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
This is your home. No one should ask you, why are you here? But I want to ask, what's up this time that you're here?
This time is very special. Well, essentially, again, we go back to George Michael, because I am here for the GT Food and Drink Festival. And basically, the person that I came with, we all came yesterday with Dylan Alora, who's an artist who's actually in the UK at the moment, but over in Lagos. And we came over with Tom Parker Bowles, who's the son of Queen Camilla. And we all flew over last night. And George Michael gets involved with this again because I met him because he was a friend of George Michael and someone that we organized tickets for back in 2008. So we thank George Michael. Because of George Michael, Tom is here. And so we're here for the food festival for a few days to enjoy, see what it's all about. I haven't been to any of these festivals. I think it'll be fascinating. And they have other people attending like Aldo Zilli, Jean-Christophe Novelli, and some US chefs as well. And very much looking forward to it. So that's brought me here for 5 days to enjoy Lagos. And I'm always happy to come home.
So it's a food festival. I'm going to tell you a bit about it because I was at the last year's edition. It was a while. Events talking about having.
So you've been?
Oh, yes, I have been.
I haven't been.
But I'll leave you to have your experience.
Okay.
But let's talk a bit about Thomas Parker Bowles. So, being a food critic.
Yes.
That's not very common. Now, how do you become a food critic? It seems like you've got to be a chef first, or you've got to have great love for food to be able to criticize the cooking of different people. Now that looks like a career that is not quite common. And working with someone like that, from where you're coming from, working with those in music, it's different.
It's still in the realm of, in England, it's very popular actually. It's a very popular thing to be a food critic. There are quite a few that I can name in the sense of, you don't have to be a chef per se. It's more like you're an editorial person. It's like you review films, review music, review films, and you review restaurants. So for example, we took him to, there's a restaurant called Enish in London, Nigerian restaurants, and they have them in Dubai as well. Very popular outside Nigeria. And the people, critics have often said, we've written about food, Italian food, Spanish food. why not Nigerian food? And what I've really admired about him is that because he's written books, he writes recipes, and he works with chefs, and that's what food critics do. And it's a very popular thing to do in the UK right now. A lot of people are food critics, writing for the Times. You either write for a magazine or you write for the Bazaar magazine, Vogue, GQ magazine, Esquire. So the role of food critic is really, really something that's done worldwide. But I know maybe in Nigeria, it's not so common, but it's very lucrative. Yes, it's very lucrative.
All right. So, what would you think a Thomas Ball coming to the food court, the GT food court, writing about Nigerian food, giving reviews, is going to do for Nigerian food? Yes, there is a food that is very popular when you talk about Nigerian food. Even those who haven't had a taste of the Nigerian jollof just want to talk about it and maybe look forward to tasting it. But there are different kinds of food that will be sampled.
Yes.
What would that do to Nigerian cuisine?
You see, there's a perception in Europe and in the bigger world. People assume, unfortunately, going on the darker side of things, they see a lot of people coming on boats trying to get into England. They feel like we don't have anything back here. We don't have the development here. Some of the buildings, the aspirational things of it. People are business minded. Come into these studios for goodness sake. You can't imagine that this is all going on in Africa. I have people up to this day say, "Oh, do you have buildings in Nigeria? Do people eat? There's no food,
That's funny.
And they don't realize. So when you have an ambassador like Tom Parker Bowles come to Nigeria, and when he writes anything in England, everybody reads it, they comment on it. The mere fact that his mother's Queen Camilla of England, that might have something to do with it. But his voice is very loud, and what I'm really proud of him is that he said, I want to come and see Nigeria for myself. I hear these things at the foods, people like, oh, nobody goes to Nigerian restaurants. Who wants to eat Nigerian food? It's growing now. There's that interest. And it's good for us because we can bring our food to the world. For people who can't come to Nigeria immediately, people want to come and people will come. But people who can't come, people like him, food critics, can come back with that message that we've been to Nigeria, we see what they do. They're really doing well. They're trying. Yes, there's good and bad in everything, but they're promoting our food, promoting our culture, and it gives us industry, it gives us some business opportunities, it gives us partnership opportunities, and it's increasing our voice in the big global stage.
I'd like to get back to your first love, which is being publicist for entertainers.
Yes.
Now, in Nigeria, we have A-list artists that are known worldwide.
Yes.
They have managers. Some of them also have publicists.
Yes.
Looking at the way they're managed and the way the publicists run, is there a thing or two you think they need to know and understand when working with artists? How could it also help their career?
I think to realize sometimes it's not overnight and it shouldn't be so gimmicky. A lot of the time people want Instagram followers and let's do this crazy thing or let's do that crazy. You want it to last. You want longevity. So it might be that, we all love Burna Boy or whoever the big star is. But what I like with people I want to give someone an example like Skepta. Do you know Skepta?
I do.
He is wonderful because he's done things like with Channel 4 in the UK where he's done content with young people to try and bring them, let's take them away from the knife culture or any crime and trying to inspire younger people to do business, to do different things with their lives. So I think what the PRs can do is use them as an influence, as a force to say, come into this, you can do your career here. It doesn't always have to be in entertainment. You can be a lawyer, you can be a lawyer for an actor, you can be a lawyer for a singer, you can be a lawyer for whatever. Or you can do different jobs, but just to aspire to do better. And I think that's what PRs can do a bit more of and use the talent, that platform they have, those 22 million followers on Instagram, use it as a platform to inspire young people to come up.
And good enough, you are inspiring a lot of young people watching Souq News TV because this is what it's about.
Yes.
Changing the narrative, inspiring people to be better.
Definitely.
as a wrap-up, what's next for you after the GT call?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot because, like I said, my main role at the moment is working with the BBC. So working on different shows. I've just done something called The History of Disco. And I was thrilled to see it on the flight over on British Airways.
Do you dance?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I won a Michael Jackson dancing competition
Really?
as a teenager. Yes,
I'd like to
did.
see that.
I want to do it here. But yes, so there's a lot in the pipeline. Lots of new programs that we're doing with the BBC, and they're trying to make people more cultural and diversity aware. And I want to be part of that journey with the BBC because it has been in the States where people that look like me feel that we're not taken, in the sense that we're not taking the direction that we want to go all the time, but they're trying to readdress that and make things better for everyone. So yeah, my future, I'm hoping to get involved with things like diversity causes and work with teams and everything, and work with new talent and new TV shows.
Okay.
So it's very exciting time, and get Nigeria involved as well, and do a bit more writing for BBC Culture and write about Nigeria and Africa.
Well, you've got Souq News TV with you.
Yes.
You want to do things, and we want to thank you for being here
Thank
today.
you so much for having me.
Oh yes, I like that you had this energy from start to finish.
Thank
it
you.
means that you're very passionate about what you do.
And grateful.
And you really want to change the narrative for people of color.
Yes.
And make the world a better place, like Michael Jackson sang about.
Yeah, I know. God bless his mind. So.
And God bless the soul too of George Michael.
Amen. Amen to that. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a wrap on Souq Exclusive. We've been talking with, I like to add the to him. I hope the GT would not be angry. The JJ Ekwega, because this woman is awesome. Trust me, it's never been a dull moment talking with her.
Thank you so much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Until the next, I'm Blessing AG. Thank you for watching.
Dr. Souq A. Adedeji, whose leadership has significantly transformed Nigeria's tax administration, is a distinguished first-class graduate in accounting from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and he currently serves as the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
I firmly believe in the wisdom encapsulated in the statements. Revenue growth is the lifeblood of a nation's economy, providing means to fulfill essential duties to its citizens. These words capture the core principle that will guide us as we navigate the challenging terrain ahead, ensuring that our nation thrives and fulfills its obligations to its citizens. In our pursuit of greater fiscal future, we are determined to align ourselves with President Bola Tinubu's Extreme Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee. This collaboration will enable us to shape the prosperous fiscal landscape that will empower our nation's growth and development.
Born on January 8, 1978 in Ogbomosho, Oyo State, Nigeria, Dr. Adedeji is an accomplished accountant and public officer with extensive expertise in corporate taxation and public finance. His journey in public service began in 2011 when he was appointed as Commissioner for Finance in Oyo State. In that capacity, Adedeji introduced transformative financial reforms, most notably the establishment of the Treasury Single Account (TSA) to streamline government revenues and expenditures. In March 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari appointed Adedeji as Executive Secretary of the National Sugar Development Council (NSCDC). In this capacity, he founded the Nigeria Sugar Institute and spearheaded the Sugar Backward Integration Program, which sought to enhance local sugar production and reduce reliance on foreign imports. In June 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed Adedeji as Special Advisor on Revenue, and by September of that same year, he had ascended to the position of Executive Chairman of FIRS, Nigeria's leading tax authority responsible for the assessment, collection and management of federal taxes.
the focus will be on these indirect taxes, so that as long as you consume, you have to pay. As long as you have interest on your investment, you have to pay. And this is echoing Mr. President's message that we are not going to tax the seed, but we are going to tax the fruit. The fruit is what we focus on. So all those things, when we have this holistic process, it will be captured, and that the vision is to have a progressive tax, that if you earn more, you pay more, and if you earn less, you will not pay.
Under his leadership, FIRS exceeded its 2023 revenue target of 11.55 trillion naira. As chairman of FIRS, Dr. Adedeji implemented a performance-based system aligning with the service's new slogan, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.
Dr. Souq Adedeji has done incredibly well in transforming and reforming the tax processes and procedures in Nigeria. In a little over a year being at the helm of the affairs of the tax body in Nigeria, we have seen a significant improvement in revenue generation. His policy of not crumbling business with taxation is something that also needs to be applauded. Souq Adedeji philosophy is taxing fruits and not the seed, and taxing prosperity, not poverty. Because if you look at the fiscal landscape of Nigeria in the past 10 years, you find that businesses have struggled to live, and that has led to the exit of so many businesses from Nigeria. But with this new reform, we're saying that the businesses will profit from the reform processes, and that will mean more business for Nigeria. We will have a lot of foreign inflow in terms of foreign direct investment that will actually drive the process of economic growth for the country. And I think he has done so well, and he deserves a kudos, especially for taking the giant stride to restructure FRS for efficiency, for accountability, and for value for money.
He has also made the welfare of the staff a top priority, fostering a positive working environment that has brought smiles to the faces of FIRS employees nationwide. Supporters of the tax reform bills highlight several key benefits, harping on the need for streamlined tax processes that could reduce bureaucratic hurdles and foster an environment where businesses can thrive.
He has initiated a lot of reform which dovetail into the tax reform bills that is before the National Assembly. This initiative is to improve on the tax administration system in Nigeria with a view to improving on the collection systems that will be beneficial to every member of the Nigerian state. Souq, as is well known, has improved on simplifying tax reform even within the federal landowner revenue, which in no means has improved on tax administration, and he celebrated essentially for the core initiative of the tax reform.
Under Dr. Adedeji's leadership, Nigeria's tax system has gone beyond mere policy adjustments. Its focus is on fostering sustainable growth and ensuring that the benefits of tax reforms reach both businesses and citizens.
So those that are attacking the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not augur well for them on the bad allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other states in the country. Probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of VAT. And then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have. The issue of trust. Trust, what some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by this if corrective measures are not taken. Graduation has not been defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now the graduation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% graduation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should.
Particularly in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He will also participate in discussions on health, financing, climate change, and the establishment of an African credit rating agency. His return to Abuja is scheduled for Monday, February 17, 2025. Now, Nigeria's National Assembly has approved the 54.99 trillion naira appropriation for the 2025 fiscal year. The budget, initially set at 49.7 trillion naira, was revised by President Bola Tinubu to 54.2 trillion naira, citing increased revenue projections from government agencies. During the presentation, lawmakers noted that the 2025 budget was presented later than its 2024 counterpart. The passage followed extensive deliberations in both chambers, with Senate Appropriations Chairman Solomon Adeola and the House counterpart Abubakar Biki representing the joint report. Nigeria has finally met its crude oil production quota set by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, according to the latest reports from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission in January. The country's daily crude production reached 1.54 million barrels per day, slightly exceeding the 1.5 million barrels per day on the target. When condensates are included, total oil production for the month stood at 1.74 million barrels per day, an improvement from December 1.6 million barrels per day. Despite this achievement, the federal government aims to further boost productions. Now, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokbobri, expressed confidence that Nigeria could reach 3 million barrels per day in 2025 by ramming up drilling activities while balancing OPEC commitments. The Nigerian Union, Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission Chief Executive Binga Komolafe also reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to increased output, projecting a revenue target for 15 trillion naira for the year. Industry experts noted that while Nigeria's production has rebounded from previous shortfalls, challenges such as infrastructure gaps and security risk in oil-producing regions remain. However, with strategic policy implementation and continued investment, officials believe the country is on track to achieve sustained growth in its sector. Now, Nigeria has signed agreements with Algeria and the Republic of Niger to advance the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline in a bid to enhance gas supplies to European markets. The agreement, which has been hailed as a win-win solution for both regions, comes as Europe continues to seek alternatives to Russian energy supplies amid ongoing geopolitical tensions and energy crisis. The Trans-Saharan gas pipeline will stretch by 4,400 kilometers to connect Nigeria's vast gas fields in the Niger Delta to Europe through Niger and Algeria, and the gas will link to existing pipelines that feeds into the European energy grid, according to reports. Now, the European Union Nigeria Agribusiness Platform has inaugurated a technical steering committee to enhance agribusiness trade and investment between Nigeria and EU member states. According to Mr. Roland Oro, CEO of Agribusiness Register Limited, the initiative aims to boost Nigeria's agribusiness sector by generating an estimated 575 million euros in additional trade value. The committee comprises key stakeholders from government and agencies, private sector players, and development partners, ensuring a collaborative approach to achieving this goal. The Technical Steering Committee will define strategic priorities, review sustainability models, and recommend funding mechanisms beyond EU grants. Mr. Oro emphasized that the committee includes representatives from the European Union delegation, the Federal Ministries of Agriculture, Trade and Budget Planning, as well as private sector organizations like the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce and the European Business Chamber Nigeria. Their collective efforts will shape policies that aligns with national and regional trade objectives. Now, the federal government introduces a 40 million dose vaccine facility to strengthen animal health infrastructure. Let's bring you details after this break. Welcome back and many thanks for joining us on the news. Now, a newly constructed 40 million dose capacity solar-powered vaccine facility as unveiled by the federal government in Abuja. The facility was revealed by the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mahia, alongside the co-chair of the Presidential Livestock Reforms Committee, Professor Tairu Jega built through the livestock productivity and resilience support. With financial support from the World Bank, the federal government sees the facility as a strategic way to forward to strengthen the national animal health infrastructure and service delivery. The minister, Edi Mahaya, emphasized that the facility will ensure efficient and effective storage of vaccines across the country. It will also be unaffected by power outages, being powered by a solar system. Professor Jega spoke on behalf of the Presidential Livestock Reforms Committee, stating that the significance of the facility on how it advances the federal government's commitment to ensure the health, productivity and resilience of Nigeria's livestock. Now, the federal government has directed all ministries, departments and agencies operating in states to close accounts with commercial banks in adherence to the Treasury's single accounts policy. The directive was issued by the Accountant General of the Federation, Dr. Oluwatoyin Made, during a working visit to the Federal Pay Office in Benin, the Edo State capital. Dr. Made emphasized that no MDA should operate accounts outside the TSA framework unless expressly approved by the President and communicated through the Office of the Accountant General. She tasked federal pay officers with enforcing compliance and ensuring transparency in financial management. Officials from the Treasury headquarters will also conduct periodic checks to uphold regulatory standards. To improve efficiency, the federal government is constructing new federal pay officers in several states. Dr. Made reassured personnel that their welfare remains a priority alongside strict adherence to financial regulations, including the Public Procurement Act and the Constitution. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued a directive warning banks against restricting automated teller machines withdrawal to below 20,000 naira per transaction. This comes as the recently reviewed ATM withdrawal fees are set to make effect on March the 1st. According to the revised fees, customers will be charged 100 naira for every 20,000 naira withdrawal from other banks' ATMs, while withdrawals from a customer's own bank ATM will remain free. The CBN clarified that Nigerian withdrawing less than 20,000 naira from another bank's ATM will still incur a fee of 100 naira per transaction. This policy is outlined in a circular dated February 10, 2025, detailing the new ATM transactions charges. The document explains that withdrawals from one's bank ATMs will remain free of charge, whereas customers using ATMs of other banks will be charged according and less at on-site ATMs located within or directly affiliated with a bank branch. For off-site ATMs, those positioned outside a bank's premises, such as in shopping malls, fuel stations, or other public places, an additional surcharge of up to 500 naira per transaction will apply. Additionally, international ATM withdrawals will be charged on a custom recovery basis, with customers bearing the exact fee applied by international acquirers. Now, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has called on telecommunications operators to deepen backward integration by producing key components such as SIM cards, cables, and towers locally, speaking during a visit by the Airtel Africa's management team in Abuja. Cardoso emphasized that reducing reliance on foreign exchange would ease pressure on the naira, create jobs, and strengthen the economy. He highlighted the CBN's effort over the past 16 months to stabilize the foreign exchange market and boost investor confidence. With these improvements, Cardoso urged telecommunications firms to embrace local production and expand financial services to underserved communities. He also announced plans for a high-level summit to develop strategies for enhancing financial inclusion digital payment platforms. Airtel Africa's Group Chief Executive Officer Sanil Talda commended the CBN's economic reforms and expressed support for the push toward local manufacturing. He pledged Airtel's commitment to working with regulators to drive digitization and economic growth in Nigeria. The Lagos Water Corporation has joined forces with WaterAid Nigeria and Amani Beauty to rehabilitate the Akilo Micro Water Works scheme. The project, part of Lagos State's Urban Water and Sanitation Access Initiative, aims to provide clean water to residents of Ifako Ijayi through kiosks and households connections. Speaking at the contract signing, the Lagos Water Corporation's Managing Director, Mukta Tijani, emphasized the project's significance, noting that studies were conducted to ensure its effectiveness. WaterAid Nigeria's Country Director, Evelyn Mehe, highlighted the scheme's long-term sustainability, while Rigmas Projects Limited, MD, Nwako Chimechefulam, expressed appreciation for the opportunity to execute the rehabilitation. The Akilo plant, built in 2012, has 5 boreholes, but only 2 functions suboptimally, underscoring the need for intervention. Now, still to come on the news, Nasarawa government uncovers illegal teacher recruitment scandal. Do join us again. Welcome back. Now, an investigative committee set up by the Nasarawa state government has uncovered 2,277 illegally employed teachers across the state's 13 local government areas. The findings come after widespread allegations of recruitment fraud within the Teachers Service Commission, leading to suspension of its officials. While receiving the committee's report, Governor Abdullahi Saleh revealed that the TSC recruited 3,277 teachers, which far exceeded the approved 1,000 number. Governor Saleh has threatened to hand over the suspended officials to security agencies over allegations of extorting money from desperate job seekers in exchange for appointment letters. Now, love is in the air as world marks another Valentine's Day, a day dedicated to celebrating affection, friendship, and heartfelt connections. People around the world are finding special days to express their love. But beyond the roses and chocolates, what does this day truly mean to different people? In this report, our correspondent takes a close look at the unique ways this Valentine's Day is being celebrated.
Valentine's Day is marked with diverse customs. While the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom emphasize gift exchanges, romantic dinners, and handwritten notes, countries like Japan and South Korea have gender-based traditions where women give chocolates to men on February 14th and men reciprocate on White Day, March 14th. In Brazil, the equivalent, Dia dos Namorados, is celebrated on June 12, while in China, the Qixi Festival honors love later in the year.
Personally, I just feel like Valentine is just like a special, though every day with your loved one is special, but for Valentine, it's special because people share gifts with their loved ones. So I believe that Valentine is just for sharing gifts with your loved ones, not just basically your boyfriend or your partner. You can always share gifts with your mom, your dad, anybody entirely, just to express how you feel to them.
Valentine's Day is more of a day of to show love, an expression of love across the world. So basically, I'm here to get a few things for my office because we are also trying to show love to our customers and clients that have been patronizing us for a while.
The day's signature colors, red, pink, white, purple, and yellow, symbolize different aspects of love, from passion to friendship. Meanwhile, Modern trends such as eco-friendly gifts, virtual celebrations, and Valentine's Day, a celebration of female friendship, has gained traction, reflecting a more inclusive approach to love and relationships. However, Valentine's Day also faces significant challenges in 2025. Economic constraints and rising costs have made traditional celebrations expensive, pushing many towards DIY gifts and budget-friendly alternatives.
Everybody knows that things are expensive, no. So for last year, the amount that we bought things last year is, more different than now. So I feel like the economy has added.
Valentine's Day is unlike before. So I don't know, maybe it's the country or I don't understand. Because everything is quite dull. Because before 3-4 years back, we know what to sell around here. People selling perfumes, people selling gift items, wine, so many things around there. Because this is the open market and it's very big. Well, we don't seem to see anything like, the market is dull.
Before, if to say today as Valentine remain a day, we used to sell well. We used to sell less, and the more we buy, the more we sell. But now, you will sit down from morning till now, you no go sell. Like since morning now, before 7, I'm in the market. Now I never say anything. Now I sell markets.
Critics argue that over-commercialization has diluted the true essence of Valentine's Day, turning the holiday to a marketing strategy for brands. Additionally, in some cultures, public celebrations are restricted due to religious or societal norms.
Team ban, please. With all my heart, team ban. The single people are not happy for the people in the relationship, so ban it. Thank you.
They shouldn't buy Valentine because the Valentine is just mostly especially for your loved ones, people you cherish most, especially your loved ones, your mom, your girlfriend. You can just make time with them, then you enjoy yourself with them. So they shouldn't buy Valentine.
No, Valentine is around. Why should some people be oppressing some people? It's not fair.
Despite these hurdles, Valentine's Day remains relevant and widely celebrated, with growing emphasis on mental well-being, self-care, and expressions of love beyond romantic partnerships.
I'll be at work, so I wouldn't even have that luxury of time. But if I were to have the luxury of time in my hands, I would have loved to do something really nice. Maybe go out or something. But I do not necessarily have to go out on that Valentine's Day because I feel like there'll be too many people around, too much going on. I'd rather do it some other time. And again, like you said, if the person is supposed to be your lover, it's supposed to be someone that this kind of events resonate around you guys, not necessarily having to wait for a special day to express how you feel about the person. That's my opinion. So I feel like Valentine is just another day that should show an expression of love to your partner, not necessarily waiting for it once in a year to come.
As the world continues to adapt, Valentine's Day 2025 highlights the timeless human need for connection, appreciation, and affection in all forms. This report was compiled by Bayo Olaoye, Omobola Sandra, Souq News Television.
Now, the Nigerian Premier Football League resumes league games this weekend, and we'll bring you sport news shortly in a moment. Do stay with us. Now, in the world of sport, Nigeria's Football Supporters Club has called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene in the alleged imposition of a new President General for the club by the National Sports Commission. The club described the move as unfair, unnecessary, mischievous, and unacceptable, as the Supporters Club is an act of parliament and duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. The The President General worldwide of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club, Rafiu Oladipo, in an exclusive interview with Souq News Television, said only the presidency could correct the anomaly, which is capable of destroying the zeal to support football in the country. Oladipo stressed that members of the supporters club have over the years offered free and selfless service to all the national teams, reiterating that a few years back, the Nigerian Football Supporters Club was adjudged the best supporters club in the world. He urged National Sports Commission not to meddle with the leadership of the supporters club, as it's a case that has been settled by a court of competent jurisdiction. Now, the Nigerian Football Premier League resumes on Saturday 15th as they play a series of scheduled games. 2 games start at the same time, 3 p.m. local time, as the Kano Pillars face the Abia Warriors at home and Eyimba play against Rivers United. Afterwards, there are 4 games that will also be playing at the same time, 4 p.m. local time. Kwara United will meet Bayelsa United at home with an opportunity to climb into the top 6 of the league table. Lobby Stars face Katsina United. Plateau United versus El Kanemi Warriors, and Nasarawa United welcomes Ikorodu City to the city of Lafia Township Stadium. The last game for the day will feature Sunshine Stars, who will be facing Oka United at home at 6:30 p.m. local time. And that's the news on the Souq News Television. Many thanks for watching. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souq News Television. I am Oyin Priye Krumale. Do have yourself a splendid Valentine's celebration this weekend.
Got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of this and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
At the Africa Development Study Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
To start with, let me give some introduction to myself. As you said, I was a former commissioner of finance. I was a commissioner of finance during the Ganduja's administration from June 2015 to October 2018. I was there for 28 months, okay, as a commissioner of finance. And I have been with Bayero University, Kano, before I was appointed commissioner of finance. Still, I'm a professor of accounting in the university, but I double as a commissioner of taxation because at the Prince Abubakar Audu University, Ayumba, Kogi State, there was a chair that had been vested there by the Federal Revenue Service in 2011. And they invited applicant for that chair, and I was the successful person, successful applicant. So I still occupy that chair, even though the chair is not functioning. But I got the privilege of serving as the elected or selected professor of taxation in that university. So I am in the area of taxation. I have done a lot of researches in that. And then I serve as the Federal Commissioner of the Tax Appeal Tribunal. So it was on 15th November that our tenure came to an end, from 2018 to 2024 November. So you can see that I have been involved at various levels on the issue of fiscal policy, tax revenue generation, tax revenue utilization. So this the reform that we are talking about was brought about by the president with a view to maybe perfecting the tax system in the country. So he formed a committee to advise him as to how to go about coming up with very good national fiscal policy, not just tax policy, and then how to reform the taxes in the country to make them better so that Nigeria can compete with other economies that are advanced in the area of utilization of taxation as a means of growing up the economy and achieving sustainable development. So this I know, the process and all that have gone into this project of reform. So bills were developed out of the report of that committee appointed by the president under the chairmanship of Mr. Tayo Oyedele. And for the first time in the history of forming a committee in Nigeria, we had a committee that the president has given the power of implementation. So it's not just about recommending something to him. It is about coming up with a report which will be convincing to him, and if he's convinced, he will ask then to be involved in the implementation of the recommendation of the report. So I think that is why the committee just presented the proposed bill to him without taking this bill to the public domain. Because of the trust that he has on the committee, he just sent the bill to the National Assembly for consideration, for passage into law. And in the bill, they even gave deadline as to when the bill to be passed into law. They expected that the National Assembly would deliberate on this committee, on this bill to the extent that the bill will be passed into law before 1st January 2025, so that by 1st January 2025, the content or the provision in these bills will begin to be implemented by the government. 4 bills were developed and proposed. And then, unlike the expectation, the comment you made that people are more concerned about the administrative, tax administrative bill. What the bill that is generating the highest controversy is the Nigerian tax bill. That is the bill that has made provision for repealing about 11 taxes that are currently existing, including the VAT itself, including petroleum profit tax, including personal income tax, including companies income tax, and other taxes like capital gain tax, casino tax, etc., etc. And then about 14 laws that are related to taxation, including laws that are designed to exercise control over consumption, over production. They made substantial amendment on them, and then take the amended aspect, amended part of those laws into the Nigerian tax bill, which means that the laws have suffered from, or they have enjoyed consequential amendment. So this bill, which is expected to become an act by 1st January, is now becoming an amalgamation of most of the taxes that Nigeria is using now. Most of the taxes, those that have been repealed, part of them, part of the provision in them have been injected into the Nigerian tax bill. Those that have been considered for consequential amendment, they are also captured in the Nigerian tax bill. And then they made a lot of paragraphing, creating part, creating section, etc., etc., to the extent that the content of that bill is about 220 pages. So you have to develop the stamina, you have to be used to reading before you read everything from the beginning to the end. And if you don't do that, you may miss a lot of things. And you may be talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. And unfortunately, that is what is happening in the public domain. You hear people talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. They just listen to news, radio, television. When they hear the comment of somebody, then they will amplify that comment ignorantly without reading the bill and understanding the content of the bill. So that is the one that is enjoying the greatest controversy. Of course, others too are enjoying some controversy. The Nigerian tax administration bill, because it is in that bill that the new sharing formula for VAT was stated. VAT have been extensively explained or described in the Nigerian tax bill, but how to share the proceeds of VAT have not been captured there. That provision could only be seen when you go to Nigerian tax administration bill, which is the bill that has been designed to show how the tax authorities in the country at the federal level, state level, and local government should be relating with one another so as to avoid conflict, so as to avoid a situation whereby all of them may go to a taxpayer with different dimension of claim. The bill was designed to achieve this main objective, to resolve the conflict that has been happening between tax authorities or even revenue generating agencies. Because when you talk about the revenue, we shouldn't be talking just about the tax revenue. You have revenue that custom is collecting. That bill, second bill, is saying that customs should no longer be involved in collecting revenue. It is the Nigerian revenue service that should be collected. Customs, let them take care of their responsibility of checking item coming in, item going out, which is another area of clash. These custom people, they are used to collecting money. Okay, and they are used to, many of them, a lot of allegations are there as to how they are collecting this money, how they are not remitting the correct amount. So now, collection of custom duty will no longer be the responsibility of custom official, custom service. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should be collecting. The same thing with all other agencies of government that are considered as revenue centers. So that bill has made adequate provision to show that they know the moment this bill was passed into law, they don't have any power to collect revenue. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should collect. Let them deal with their own responsibilities of stabilizing the economy, ensuring control over consumption, over production, over whatever. But then collection of revenue is not their own. And then between the State Internal Revenue Service and the Nigerian Revenue Service, there should be harmony. If there are revenues sources that are difficult for the State Revenue Service to utilize in generating revenue, they can bring in, they can collaborate, or they can reach agreement with the Nigerian Revenue Service to do the collection and then share the amount collected as per the agreement, or take cost of collection as per the agreement and then give the State Internal Revenue Service or even local government revenue committee what they deserve. So the expectation of the Nigerian Revenue Administration, Nigerian Tax Administration Bill is to bring about harmony and understanding. So how that could be brought about is the question to be answered. Because of the nature of Nigerian, the nature of official, and the way the people put their eyes on money. They want to be the one collecting money or keeping money or doing something with money. And now you are saying that all those that are used to that, they have to, they will be suspended from doing that, or they will be barred from doing that. It is only that agency, the Nigerian Revenue Service, that will be doing it. So there are some issues there that are calling for a question, okay, understanding among the agencies involved or the tier of government involved, and then of course patriotism to ensure that whatever we do as revenue collectors, as treasury managers, as revenue utilizers for the execution of various projects, we demonstrate ethics, we demonstrate honesty and integrity. The revenue agency itself, before now, the revenue agency is behaving as if it is for the federal government. And this bill that has been sent to the National Assembly is encouraging the Nigerian Revenue Service, which will now replace the Federal Revenue Service and the law that established it. It's encouraging it to consider itself as a federation agency, not federal government agency. It is to be serving the interests of the federation. And so the concern of the state should be addressed by that agency. The concern of local government should also be addressed. It should be an agency that should be mentoring local government revenue agencies or tax authorities and state government revenue authorities or tax authority, so that they carry themselves together as a team, then ensuring that we have very good tax system in the country, that we have adequate revenue generation on taxation, which should be put to use for executing various projects that will bring about sustainable development in the country. So when you look at all the provision made in the Nigeria Revenue Service, Nigerian Revenue Service Bill, they are talking about the need for harmonious working relationship. They're talking about the federal Nigeria Revenue Service to serve as the model to state revenue service and local government revenue committee, so that they have very good understanding in implementing the provision in the Nigerian tax bill and the Nigerian tax administration bill. So all the provisions are like that. And then provision have been made adequately as to the position of the executive chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service, the need for governing board, which should have that chairman as the chairman, the need to have the technical committee at the state level, and who are to be members of that committee, the whole and representation to be drawn from various MDAs and other agencies of government and federal government into the committee, and many other issues. And even at the local government level, there is a need for revenue, local government revenue committee, which should be chaired by the councillor in charge of revenue or finance at the local government level, and who the members are and their function. So when you look at all the provision there shouldn't be any controversy. Even if there will be controversy, it should be less, and it should be something that could be resolved. For example, personally, I will not support a situation whereby the chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service should also be the chairman of the board. This is against corporate governance system. And then the same person will be the chairman of the technical committee. The same person will be the chairman of the revenue joint committee, where all the representatives for local government will be members and other agents. So it will be as if the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will become the alpha and omega on all revenue issues in the state. And that person may even be seen himself to be more powerful than Commissioner of Finance. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I was serving as the supervisory person on all the activity in the Internal Revenue Service. The chairman of Internal Revenue Service should be reporting to me, should be taking orders to me. He shouldn't be going directly to the governor. But the provision is showing that the chairman of Internal Revenue Service is equal to the commissioner. And in fact, they were even saying that governor is just to nominate him and has to go to the House of Assembly for clearance. Just as commissioner will go to House of Assembly for clearance. And there is no provision to show that this person should be answerable to the Commissioner of Finance. So something like this, I think many people may not see it, but with my own experience as a Commissioner of Finance, who have been intimately related to the Minister of Finance that time, I know the problem many states were facing as they empower the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service, they empower too much the Accountant General against the Commissioner of Finance, who should be the supervisor to all these agencies of government. So issues like this are there, and appropriate action need to be taken by the National Assembly in correcting the lapses in the bill. Then the last one, which is about institutionalizing revenue board. Okay, a revenue board. Before we have joint revenue board. Before we have joint tax board. So now that joint tax board is an appendix of the personal income tax. It's just under personal income tax. So now the drafters of the bill, they will want joint revenue board to be on its own. I have a law supporting it, so that at the federal level, where we have the chairman of the Federal Revenue Service, he will now serve as the chairman of the Joint Revenue Board. Then all the chairmen of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will be members. Ministry of Finance will have a representative. Ministry of Budget and Planning will have a representative. And you have some other agencies of federal government that may send representative into that board. So that board will be taking decision on monthly basis on where improvement should be made, how to solve problem between one tier of government and another, and many other things, which will be very, very beneficial to the president or the Federal Executive Council, and then beneficial to governors and the various state executive council on fiscal policy and on utilization of taxation to generate revenue, and on utilization of the revenue being generated by these agencies. Because many people are having the feeling that the agency, they collect this money and they spend the money. But in real sense, they only collect, but they remit to the government, into the treasury of government. So while they collect, they have the responsibility of collection, they don't have the power to spend a kobo from the amount generated. It is the government that takes care of that. So the joint revenue board has been given a lot of responsibilities in that bill. So when it becomes act, become a law of itself, so the joint revenue board will now be more powerful than what we know before as joint tax board. So this is just the summary of the bill that have been sent to the National Assembly for passage into law. Yeah, my stand is that we need reform in our tax system. As a student of taxation, I have the belief that no economy can make any progress if it doesn't have a good tax system. Most of the economies of the world, or I can say all of them, all the developed economies of the world, they are tax-based economies. And most of the natural resource-based economies, they are among the backward economies in the world. Look at it. All the members of OPEC, none of them is part of the G20. They have the revenue, they have the oil, they are producing it in great quantity, but they are still being considered as developing economies. Well, when you look at UK, Germany, France, US, other countries like that, they don't claim to be having enough revenue, enough oil to refine for their use and then to export the excess for sale. They don't claim for that, and that's why they don't belong to the OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They base their economy on taxation, but then they have very good tax system, which is just attracting minimal complaint. And the moment they hear some complaint from either the taxpayers or the tax administrators, they take appropriate action immediately, so that at the end, nobody will complain. And because of the reliance on taxation, the citizen of their countries, both natural and artificial person, companies and individual, the citizen of the country, as they pay tax, they have the right to demand accountability. They have the right to demand prudence. They have the right to demand transparency. And for that, those impositions of austerity, they are always in fear that whatever, if they steal a kobo, people will shout, "This is our money. We contributed this money for execution of progress that will amount to a project that will amount to sustainable development, not for the money to be stolen." So this person that is stealing money, appropriate legal action should be taken against him. Sometimes you hear some leaders being hung. Sometimes you hear some leaders being shot, the firing squad, because of the misuse of public money. So members of the public that are contributing this money in the form of taxation, they complain, and then they insist on appropriate action to be taken. So before you come out and claim that you want people to vote for you to go to the parliament or to be the governor or the president or whatever, you will have it in your mind that when you go there, you touch public money, that may be the end of your life, because that the contributors of that money will be, their eyes and attention will be on the money, and the moment you misuse it, they will take appropriate action against you. Your image will be tarnished, you may even lose your life. So those economies that are considered as developed, they rely substantially or totally on taxation for their development. And then those economies that are relying on natural resources, oil, cocoa, solid mineral, whatever, as they use the money from this to execute projects, the members of the citizens of that country, both natural and artificial, they don't care if they see them stealing the money and abusing the money, because it's not their money. It's not their own contribution to the economy. Number one, the prohibition on VAT, what you said earlier, has attracted a lot of attention from leaders in the northern part of the country. VAT could be addressed in two ways. Okay, the first way affect everybody, and then the second way is what the leaders in the north are complaining about. The first way is on the increase in the VAT rate. Increase in the VAT rate. We have never had a situation whereby progressive increase will be brought to VAT rate in any country in the world. From my reading, I have never experienced it. But this is being brought about in Nigeria through these laws. They said VAT rate now, which is 7.5%, as per the Content of Finance Act 2020, will be increased to 10% from January 2025. Just about a month away. If the bill are passed into law, VAT will be increased to 10% of all VATable goods and services. And then just 1 year after, 2026, it will be increased to 12.5%. Then you have a small raise for 3 years. By 2030, the rate will be increased to 15%. So you can see the progression in the increase of VAT. And the moment you increase VAT rate, inflation will come up very powerfully, especially as you are increasing from 20 to 2025, 2026, you are increasing 2.5%. So the goods and services throughout the country, you see their prices going up. And there is no separate market for VATable goods and services and non-VATable goods and services. No separate market. Don't just feel that when you increase VAT rate, the increase in prices will be on VATable goods only. All other goods and services, their prices will go up. And how do you survive that? Nigerians now are complaining about fuel subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal, and many people have become unemployed. Many people have become disabled. Nobody, no any earner of salary can claim to be saving anything for investment. People are borrowing money to top up to the income that they have for survival. And those that have no work, they are complaining. We just finished induction for ICANN. About 3 inductees met me that if I have any chance for them to get employment, you are qualified as a chartered accountant and you're looking for a job. So what about the secondary school leavers, diploma holders, and other people that have not even attended school? So unemployment is on the high side. And increase in inflation is a killer to businesses, because when you don't have people buying, you have to stop production. You have to stop providing services. And when you stop production, you sack your employees. And then you have more people go into the employment market and labor market. All in our but won't be ignite against government. And then in the the whole about in the food in look that to the government here on the percent. I'm going to the government to look. Okay. Okay. Sounds. Then I'm the where you on sure to dealing with deem consumption leg so I got 6 contribution jam zoom company there. If it 3% billion, 10% so that they get um 20 of trouble. Then to the Jacob. It's not is good. They have the answer. You see, there's about of that that what would or that Nigerian and then please need to see that all then to attend. That's why the sign. This is need to oh appreciate notice but they have of this assess charge 20 use up percent all the protect so area touch that when then you have patient and agency DS etc. The develop major Nigeria cannot to of away so and to them. I without percent form is of I say that will not so the was that said it is and 2029 on to you can that be three can government before they to that a Nigerian student will merely become debtors, and when they become debtors, Nigeria as a whole will becoming a debtor nation. Every day loan is increasing, so students too will become debtors. Secondly, the institution, all these federal universities, they are not charging of Lagos, University of Ibadan, Bayero University, Kano, ABU, all these federal universities, and many of the state universities, they don't charge tuition fee, just to encourage children of the poor to attend university or polytechnic or colleges of education. So as third point is put in place, nobody can claim that he or she cannot pay tuition fee. And then no university or polytechnic should be going to government asking for money. In fact, government may even give them target of the amount that they should be remitting to the government. Because you are charging tuition fee, you are charging registration fee. You are having enough money to take care of yourself. And then we want you to remit something to us because we own the Federal University College of Education Polytechnic. So at the end of the day, you see that students will become debtors, students and their parents who insist on making sure that their children attend universities or polytechnic or college of education. And then the universities will no longer be complaining about insufficiency of funds. Because private universities are not complaining of it. They have their founders who are funding them and they are charging fee. Some are even charging 2.something million per semester. In Nigeria here, some are charging 2 million, some are charging 1.5 million per semester, and some per session. And so they have a lot of money to execute various projects, to pay high salary to their staff. And then the private universities, they are complaining that no money. When you go, they say no money. Even for execution of project, they either take one to do it for you, or you go cap in hand as for support from individual and organization to execute project for you. But now that you are allowed to charge fees, and the student, if they don't have money to pay, or their parents don't have money to pay, they go to NELPO to collect loan for the payment of the tuition fee and the registration fee, and even for living costs. And they made it very clear that when you borrow such kind of money, you will start making repayment 2 years after graduation, and even 2 years after graduation until you get a job to do. And then from the job that you are doing, you'll be paying 10% annually up to when you finish paying the loan. How will that be feasible in Nigeria? How would that be feasible? So this provision too is a matter of concern. Yes, for people that will look about what will happen in the future. Look at the implication of the policies contained in that bill. Okay? So I am of the opinion that to correct these lapses, they should just stop at the first formula. When you collect 4%, you increase the rate to 3%, as again to 4%, as again 3% for third point, in order to accommodate other agencies, and you stop charging the other day. And then, so the first year they said 50% will go to third fund, which is like reducing what third fund is getting from 3% to 2%. I hope you understand. When I say 50% of 4, that is 2. Before third fund is getting 3% of the accessible profit. So we can manage with the decrease from 3% to 2%. And then NEL fund, which is the baby of the government, will give you 20%. Okay? Then NISDA, which is having very clear mandate of making the Nigerian economy an ICT economy, 20%. Then NASENI, 5%, saying we don't care much about the technological development that may come to manufacturing cars, motorcycle, etc. We give them 5%. And then allow them to look for means of further funding themselves. So you stop at that, but not to scrap any of these agencies. So that's my own advice. Okay? So that is another important area that need to be addressed in this bill before they are passed into law. In taxation, as I said, we encourage payment of what you can afford. A situation whereby, this is my own personal opinion, yes, and people may feel that I am in support of taxing the poor. No, I'm not talking about the poor. Anybody that doesn't have income, that doesn't have profit, that doesn't have gain, it should not be considered for taxation. But if you are making some gain, you are making some income, no matter how small, and you are paying something, no matter how small, out of what you are gaining, that will make you to have greater moral right to challenge government. But if you are put outside the tax net, you are not contributing anything, you don't have much moral right to come and challenge the government for inefficiency, for poor accountability, for poor transparency. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I had called to be organizing some town hall meeting with small, medium, micro, small, and medium enterprises across the market that we had in Kano. I will invite their leaders and inform and address them. You see, we are introducing presumptive tax. We are doing that with a view to ensuring that you own the government. You own the government. This government belongs to every one of us. But then those that are contributing money into running the affairs of the government, into executing various projects for the state, they have greater stake than those that are not contributing anything. And no matter how small your contribution is, you have the right to claim ownership of government. So many of them were encouraged. So I say, okay, you are in this business, you are at this level. How much can you afford to pay as your presumptive tax? So we say they themselves, yeah, they will accept, yeah. Yeah, so there was a time that we had meeting with some of them. I was saying that you be contributing 100 naira. Some say no, if that group of people can contribute 150, we can contribute 200 naira every month. Through engagement, interaction with the micro, small, and medium enterprise, you can arrive at something that they will be contributing in the form of presumptive tax. And that payment will make them to have the pride of becoming taxpayers. And they will be having their eyes on how government is spending the money. But the situation whereby you come openly and say that you are pushing away about 90% of the people out of the tax net. So you are only relying on 10% of people for the payment of tax. So you are saying that you are now taking the whole of the government to 10% of people, or probably 1% of people. My worry is about that threshold. The fact that you have threshold does not mean that somebody that is not at that threshold, who is making money, cannot contribute with a view to owning the government. I hope you understand. My concern is about ownership. Taxation is a way of owning the government. So if I pay tax, like now I pay tax, I know every month they deduct something out of my salary as a lecturer in the university. I will look at my pay slip and see the contribution that I have made. So if I need tax clearance certificate, I can go there and collect it, whatever reason. But you that are not paying anything, what tax clearance will you ask for? Okay? And then if something bad is happening in government, you see them stealing money, do you have any right to complain? Is it their money? What have you contributed there? So a situation whereby we want people to be economically empowered, to own government. And then we are now having a reform that is saying that that is even proud to say that about 90% are made not taxable, even presumptive tax. So in other words, I am of the view that as we claim for transactional tax to be paid by the rich and luxury asset to be taxed as that are at the lower level, they should also be paying some presumptive tax, even if it is 10 naira per month or 20 naira per month, so that as those rich people claim that the government belongs to them, this one too will say, yes, the government belongs to us. So provision like this is not there in the act. All they are just claiming is that they have pushed people away from the tax net. And pushing them away from the tax net, just pushing them away from ownership. So you are just surrendering the whole of the government to very few people who will now be teleguiding those in the position of authority. And you will just be asking for help all the time. Where you can also claim ownership with pride, or no matter the amount that you are contributing to government. The other aspect of it is this absence of adequate provision in the Act on property tax. Property tax, yes, property tax. Like I was talking about luxury asset. Those with luxury asset, they need to be taxed on the value of this luxury asset so that we generate more revenue. Those that are doing the transaction of high volume of money, they need to be taxed for this transaction. That's what we call transactional tax. So you can see that as we are talking of relieving the poor or income earners from tax, from this tax rate, we are not talking much about taxing the rich in the bill. It is not clear as to how properties of the rich people in this country who are very small. Someone was even telling me that in Nigeria, where you say 99% of the wealth of the country is in the hand of 1% of the people in the country. That 99% of the people of this country, they own only about 10% of the wealth of the country. What a gap! If this is true, we have not done any study empirically to ascertain these figures. But you can see some sign of it. And you need taxation to bridge the gap. And then as you are arguing for the bridging of the gap, you now have a reform that is throwing away 90% of the people from the tax net. And then the people drafting the bill are even proud to say it. So I have reservation on this. If I find my way, I will agitate for appropriate correction to be done. And that does not mean that I'm agitating for the taxing of the poor. I'm talking about those that can afford. They are not for the personal income tax rate, but then they pay presumptive tax with a view to owning the government, with a view to ensuring that the government is not allocated to only the very few rich. And then these few rich, in the other way around, there are no adequate provision, there are no clear provision to see how their wealth will be taxed. No. If you look at all the statements that I've been making, there's nowhere that I mentioned that the North is having this agitation. I'm just talking to you about areas of concern in the law. Areas of concern. I think I only made reference to the North when it comes to this issue of sharing of VAT, that the governors and traditional rulers in the North, they are forced to raise alarm. And they raise alarm on this matter only. But all the other matters that I mentioned, they have not said anything. Maybe they have not seen them. They don't have this perspective that I have. Okay, so I am a Nigerian first before becoming a Northerner. So I talk as a Nigerian. My concern is about the Nigerian people. And the Northern people are also part of Nigeria. Yeah, you see their position, or the worry they express is just about the injustice they suspect from the issue of VAT collection and sharing. And even that provision has been made perfectly, I doubt very much if they will complain. And then secondly, they may be having the suspicion that the drafters of the bill were just reading the mind of the president. A president who was a governor in Lagos State, who developed, people are just having the feeling that he was the one that developed the Lagos agenda, which is about making the Lagos State to have a special status in Nigeria. And special status is just about maybe putting it into a position higher than other governors, but not up to the level of the federal government. And then when you are targeting that special status position, then a lot of things could be designed that will be favoring Lagos. So those that are attaching the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not augur well for them on the VAT allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other stayed in the country. Probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of birth. And then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have. The issue of trust. Trust, what some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by this bill if corrective measures are not taken. All these issues that I mentioned, I did that honestly as a Nigerian. By all standards, I should be accepted as a Nigerian. Even by virtue of my past, people should accept me as a Nigerian. I don't have any reason to be sentimental against any part of this country. I don't have any reason to be favorable to one region against another. I don't have any reason for that. But even by virtue of my birth and my own level of experience, okay, and of course by my age, somebody that is around 60. So that person should only be thinking about what you meet when you die, when you reach your goal. Okay, so I think to be fair to them, we can say that their worry is mainly about that issue, and then all other issues are suspicion.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God, says the Holy Book. Among the many blessings of life, marriage stands as one of the most cherished. Today we gather to celebrate the union of Omaka and Augustine, and wedding bells rings as it marks the beginning of a new journey. Family, friends, and well-wishers are gathered together to share in their joy. My name is Grace Komolafe, and this is Souq Podcast, taking it straight from the studio to your destination anywhere in the world. We'll be having conversations, I must say special conversations, as it relates to today's event, and that we will be doing right after this break. Thank you for joining us. This is still Souq Podcast, and it's all about Omaka and Augustine. So we have a guest in the house who will be telling us about the couple, the newly wedded couple. Magnus, it's nice having you today.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, how are you related to the couple?
So, Omaka, my dear sister, she's basically the one after myself. So in the pecking order of birth, I was born first. She came after, and then I have a couple of the brother and the sister that came just afterwards. So being the sister that directly comes after me, you can understand the bond that we have. Before the rest of my siblings were born, it was just two of us.
Oh yeah.
Who kicked it out in the world, who did all the hide and seeks and all of these things until the rest of them came. And of course, this relationship carried on and on and on, even all the way to primary school, secondary school. We did all the lots of things that kids would do. Fun things about Maka is she's always loved cooking.
Okay.
For some reason, she ended up studying law in uni.
Okay.
And then did a backtrack, a 360. Or is it 360 or 180? No, I won't say 180. I would say she did a 90 degrees and went to culinary school. And now she's now a
But initially, she do not like cooking.
No, she's always loved cooking.
Oh, she's always loved cooking. Oh, I
So
see. No wonder she decided to go
It was
for
so notorious
culinary
that she would take the pots and the pans in the house, take them to school. You know, they have this own economics in secondary school. And then she would just go there and cook food. And she would come back home with nothing. And we'll say, where is the food you cooked? You took all of our dishes and then you did it.
Okay, so how do you feel? How do you feel having a man, the love of her life, taking her away from you?
I think it's a fulfilling experience. Being myself married, to a lovely wife, SA. I can understand, what they're both going through at the moment. The affection they have for each other, the bonding that they have for each other, the love they have for each other, and I can tell that it's genuine. And looking at the amount of time they've spent together, even before they got married, it's pretty obvious that these guys were made for each other. So there's nothing to worry about.
All right. So before I let you go, tell us that beautiful moment, memory that you cannot forget about your sister. Something you just can't forget in a hurry. That's always been in your mind.
Okay. Something I can't forget is the fact that whenever she's always the type that likes to manage things and manage people, and whenever she just comes around, she wants things to be organized. She's always saying, do this way, do this way, do this way. The perfectionist in that sense.
I see.
Omaka. No wonder she's an award-winning chef.
I see.
Multiple award-winning chef.
Oh wow. She's an award-winning chef. Multiple award-winning chef. This is to say that I think her husband wouldn't even dare to eat outside for one day.
No, that's sorted.
I want to believe so.
That's sorted.
Wow. So one word for the couple. One word.
So the prayer is for God to just keep the family in marital bliss. There shouldn't be any situation that will tear them apart, but rather every situation that they go through, positive or negative, should make their bond stronger. Because I've come to realize now, I've been married for about 5 years, that life in the wedding or in the marital life is an ongoing institution. So marriage, when they say institution,
it's a continuous process, right?
Exactly. Like when you're in uni, it's an institution. Marriage also is an institution. So you're always learning about each other. You're always, finding out new things about each other. Find out your strengths and your weaknesses, blending them together. That's why they say one and two will become one.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Thank you very much for your time. Please tell us your name again before you go.
Oh, my name is Magnus Abel Orugu.
Thank you.
To the bride.
Brother to the bride. Thank you so much, Magnus. Thank you.